classroom practices and instructional strategies to rethink, using culturally relevant and responsive pedagogy. Practice number 1. Rethink getting to know our students and families.
As educators, we know how important it is to get to know our students. Common practices for doing this include surveys, inclusion activities, and highly structured All About Me projects. When we pre-select the categories of interest and assume all students have common experiences, we ignore their lived realities and their autonomy of self-expression is restricted. Sharing personal information with classmates can be uncomfortable for some students and may lead to feelings of stress or worry. A classroom culture of respect, trust, and inclusion needs to be established to ensure the safety of all learners. When we give students a range of categories and decision-making authority to choose what they want to share, the activity becomes relevant and responsive to each learner, and student voice is centered. Before having students engage with an All About Me task or project, it is essential that we establish brave spaces where students feel like they can be themselves and have the power to make decisions. The project or task should have multiple entry points based on how safe a student feels. For example, students should be able to choose from a range of categories to share, not being limited by a specific list of teacher-selected topics.
Practice number 2. Rethink whole group sharing.
Community circles, Congress, Think, Pair, Share, and Four Corners are some common strategies that we use to support student conversations and sharing ideas with the whole group. We mustn't forget that there are power dynamics that exist among students, which impacts who speaks and who stays silent. Students with dominant social identities, such as white, able-bodied, heterosexual, cisgender, male, may feel more confident and be accepted as a dominant voice to the exclusion of others. It is important to hold space and ensure that enough time has been allotted to guarantee that all students have an opportunity to contribute to the conversation. Using nonverbal strategies such as online activities, chat box, writing, or artistic expressions disrupts barriers to participation and provides other ways for students to share their thoughts, feelings, ideas, and questions.
Practice number 3. Rethink text and resource selection.
It is common practice in many classrooms to offer a single perspective in the resources that we share. For example, a single text, such as a textbook, a novel, a poster, or a video. Resources that center one voice and point of view can further marginalize students whose voices and identities are left out. Just as we expect students to be aware of the biases in sources they use for their work, we need to do the same in ours. When selecting material, we want to make sure we understand where the information is coming from, who the author is, and whose voices may not be present. This includes all texts used in the classroom, such as articles, videos, movies, textbooks, case studies, and poetry.
Practice number 4. Rethink purpose of practice and homework.
Homework checks, evaluation for accountability, and taking up work are current practices that happen in many of our classrooms. When these methods are used, they can act as a gotcha, meaning they are used to penalize students. When we use homework evaluation as a measure of accountability, we aren't measuring what we think we are measuring. We may learn that a student hasn't completed work, but we have no idea why. Using this method of evaluation doesn't take into account our students' lived experiences, nor does it communicate compassion and care. Instead, let's ensure students and families understand what the purpose of homework is and what the outcomes are when homework isn't complete. Homework should not be marked for the purpose of final evaluation. Rather, we should use it as one opportunity to teach learning skills and to allow for practice with feedback for deeper learning. Sometimes there are valid reasons that homework has not been completed. For example, looking after a younger sibling or taking care of their own well-being. We need to take the time to listen and understand these challenges.
Practice number 5. Rethink the dynamics of group work.
In our classrooms, educators provide opportunities for students to collaborate and work with their classmates in groups. Students have different strengths and comfort levels when working independently versus working in a group. Some voices will be elevated, some will be quieted, and some will be silenced. If students are experiencing racism, sexism, classism, or ableism when working in groups, we will not get a true reflection of their achievement of the learning goals. For example, being tone policed, white-splained, or mansplained by their peers. When we choose to assign group work, we need to consider how we set students up for success. It is important for us to recognize that there may be stressors and anxiety connected to group work that may affect participation. An educator can actively create opportunities and hold space for underserved and underperforming students by arranging groups so that students are working with peers who support them. Assigning roles within groups to strategically elevate marginalized voices.